we're going to pressure test all three of these tractors and see what they're at on the hydraulic pumps. So really, we're just doing this really for the health of the hydraulic pumps. I don't entirely know exactly what the status of this one is or that one, but we have replaced the pump in that 770, so I know that one should be producing relatively good pressure. Also, in this case, it could be a relief valve that might be a little wonky, so any two of these, or even that 770, could have an issue I don't know about. I'm just doing this because I now have access to a gauge via my work, and I've been meaning to make one, never did. So I thought I'd just make this for the guys that are going to, you know, test your hydraulics and make sure you get a good unit, maybe if you're buying one or if you're having issues with your hydraulic pump. So we're going to start with our closest one here and work our way down. And actually, the pressure goes higher the further down and the newer you get. So this one right here should be, I think, right around 800 plus. 800 to 1,000 is right about the rough good range. Same with that one. And then you got knocking on that guy's door, the 1850 down there is going to be about 2,000 to 2,200, maybe a low side of 1,800. That's probably when it's going to start getting weak. So the best portion of this is you're going to start your tractor up and run your remotes. If you have a hydraulic system, the best optimal way to do it, and the way I do it at work when I'm working on these ag tractors, is you're going to take basically a connecting loop and you're going to jump these two, and all you're going to do is sit there and hold the remote and run the hydraulic system until it gets nice and warm. It doesn't hurt to run the other one that doesn't have your loop and just run it through the bypass, get it good and warm, and then switch back to this side though to keep the fluid moving. All right, so I went ahead and warmed it up to about 105-ish degrees. Put it around full throttle. Pull your lever and hold for 3 seconds. A little over 1,000 PSI via the gauge, so that is a plus for this Super 66. All right, tractor number 2, Oliver 770, which is more or less the same as the Super 66. So that one's actually just a hair over 1,100, 1,200 PSI. This one's in really good shape, as I expected. And once again, oil got warmed up to temperature. So on the open center systems like this, on pretty much all of our tractors except for the 55 series, if you pressurize that gauge and it doesn't bleed off, which this one does, which means, well, yeah, I mean, there's your explanation right there. This thing's got a bad valve. I got a bad elbow there. I got to replace that. But this one's a loud one. All right. I'll admit, that came out of left field big time, because I thought this pump was going to be shot and wasn't going to produce any pressure, like just enough basically to run the power steering at idle and stuff. But that, I mean, that's kind of actually impressive. 2,400 RPM, which is rated RPM for the engine, technically. It was doing like 1,700, 1,800 PSI. That's on the very low side, though. That's not good. Don't get me wrong. That's not good. But that's actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like 500 at max. I'm honestly impressed because this thing has a ridiculous amount of hydraulic oil going into the transmission. And then, of course, I always have to top it off all the time. And, of course, everything else leaks on the damn thing. But, I mean, I'm kind of speechless right now. That's a little impressive. The next test would be flow testing it, which is probably what I'm going to do if I can steal a gauge from work and see what's going on here, because something's up. I know those two definitely are okay, and don't mind the smoke. This thing just is Willie Nelson in disguise. But those two I know for a fact work well because they lift implements. They work just like they should. This thing will not lift hardly anything. We got a little more diagon to do on this one, but I was just wanting to show you two good examples basically with those two. All right, so watch my correspondence here. Hydraulic is on right now, 0 pressure. Not even enough to register 100 PSI. 1,000, we got right at 100. We go to 12, we got about 250-ish. 1,400, about 500 on the dot. 16, just ticked over 750-ish, 700, 750. 1,800, really making 1,100. 13. So basically, it's kind of working like it should, but it won't keep pressure basically anything under 1,000 PSI. Really anything under 1,400 RPM, you might as well just kiss your hydraulics goodbye because this thing's got enough to run the power steering and your 3-point, and that's it. So the pump is, here's my assumption. Take it with a grain of salt, but here's what my assumption is just from what I've been working on the past couple of years now. This hydraulic pump is faulty, or we have an internal leak that is big enough to cause this to where it won't generate pressure unless you're at high RPM. So say if like the pump's worn out, we're got some cavitation damage maybe in the pump, it's possibly creating enough pressure up top that it works, but anything below a certain point, you just start dramatically dropping off because this thing ramped up pretty much as soon as you hit 1,400. It was off to the races there. So that explains why it'll run implements at full throttle, but it won't whenever you're down low. So pressure gauge tells the story. That is for sorting. Yeah, for sorting. Catch you guys on the next one.